Chapter 1. A General Consensus. Truth is not in vogue. Hypocrisy is the rage. Appearance is sought in deceiving one's self-help and helping others. Selfishness and materialism are on the rampage. Forms, procedures, rules and regulations are used as escapes from improving man's natural existence with his fellow man. A new change, innovation, must follow the procedures, and it must not conflict with the positions of those who control the procedures, nor the monies expended supporting these positions. So, water will be polluted if, under this system, industrial expansion is more important than eliminating the pollution. Natural means to eliminate disease will not be stressed if they will damage the billion-dollar drug and pharmaceutical empire. And with our advertising contributions, don't look for research reports on the benefits of natural healing in science magazines supported by these advertisers. Universities and research foundations, depending on large government grants for research and subsistence, avoid research in areas that will raise the eyebrows of their money givers, irregardless of foreseeable benefits to health, healing, and happiness in these possible breakthroughs. Instead, billions of dollars are spent each year in research theories, speculations, and projects that have failed, but in their failure offer new theories and speculations. New ways for health and happiness, tried and true by scientific method, as well as intuitive belief, struggle for avenues to the people, and make many, quote, acceptable scientific reports and projects no better than sheer nonsense. Society supports material rewards as progress, yet we see these persons who are, quote, materially well off, groping and feeling lost and deteriorating in health, healing, and happiness. Increasing numbers in society are seeking professional help, not just for mental disorders, but simply in trying to adjust their lives to everyday living. Sociologists, psychologists, psychiatrists, and religious and social workers are trained in the procedures, forms, rules, and regulations of society, as are lawyers, doctors, and governments and business personnel. We all, to some extent, instruct in attempting encouragement with the same symbols, words, dogmas, theories, and speculations that make up the dilemma. The result, in increasing instances, is avoiding one's ability to believe and act naturally for health, healing, and happiness, benefiting ourselves and others in society. Truth, as we are all privileged to feel and realize, is within the realm of our natural abilities. What is good for peace and order without harming others is a truth self-evident. Yet some of our leading scientists and other leaders of civilization not only function otherwise, but write opinions and scientific treatises in their attempt to prove their selfish beliefs against this natural law. Peace and order exist for man as they do for nature. Misunderstandings, misapplications, selfishness, greed, and just plain ignorance have thrown into confusion and catastrophe the peace and order of nature and man. It has become more prevalent to turn the coin on end, instead of turning the coin over to look at the other side. Sociologically, biologically, and naturally, peace and order are the way to health, healing, and happiness, not artificial drugs, chemicals, machines, theories, and speculations. Confusion and bewilderment are evident in our society from the many mind control fads that are providing great incomes for the controllers, and for the recipients, the breakup of the family system, without consideration and action in working for an orderly society. Meditation is helpful if not abused, but this now has become big business, big income, big confusion, and disorder. Peace, order, love, and harmony can be found in your own inner self. Look to your feelings and your thoughts, and be sincere in your own being, without turning to fads, theories, speculations, mind programming, or big business organizing. False prophets are in vogue. The commercialism of religion and your own thoughts and feelings are perhaps more prevalent than any time in history due to the aids of mass communications. Sincerity to your own inner being will expose these jackals, howling banshees that they are, who say life is nothing but conflicts, neurosis, and suffering. There is more to life. Each of us within himself can find this realization and act accordingly for health, healing, and happiness. At the present stage of society, you cannot go through life without seeking the aid of a qualified doctor. We hope you find a sensible, mature man or woman with an inner compassion to complement his or her medical books and training. Such a person can do much for you. But why allow yourself to be in need of medical treatment when your self-help can eliminate many of your stresses and sicknesses? We will expose some of the serious dangers of modern medicine practices, treatments, and instruments now in use, and show you how you can aid yourself, how by your own common sense you can live longer and better, solve your own problems by natural methods within the realm of sensible approaches, and as a result have happiness and freedom from, quote, psychological stresses. Why wait till retirement to concern yourself with your health? Common sense methods, as simple as eating vegetables, for example, something you know you should do without having to consult a doctor, are in your ability for health, healing, and happiness. Very little in our world societies has really been accomplished to offer sensible answers to the many grave problems today facing every man, woman, and child. You can't look into any field of expert endeavour and find those necessary breakthroughs in action to adequately assist you in helping yourself without the aid of others, which in most instances does not further your self-being naturally. With all the doctors, medical specialists, researchers, and educators, billions of dollars for new equipment, education, and facilities, where are the answers to the, quote, killer diseases ravaging our societies? There are scientists and there are scientists. A number of scientists, including Nobel Prize winners, are under the constant bombardment of the government, colleges and universities, and colleagues of conventional importance. Challenges are thrown at these persons to prove further what they have already proved. Even Einstein's work is still under investigation by those trying to prove him wrong. Scientists of our present day and age are facing the same childish challenges by the armchair type of super scientist and accepted command of the scientific community. In their own egotistical narrow-mindedness and plain stupidity, these sacred cows will not confine themselves to undermining the development of their own nation's scientific development. They reach out to scientific workers of other nations in their attempts to further old ideas and theories and to promote their own self-importance. These faults of the system should be evident to all of us from experience and common knowledge. The facts are present and quite apparent. If the reader wishes to pursue his investigation into this matter, he will find a surprising amount of, quote, pot calling the kettle black. Such is the statement of Dr. Richard E. Palmer, President of the AMA, that the Secretary of the Federal Department of HEW is a, quote, virtual czar over the national health system. An increasing number of those within the bureaucratic jungle are not only voicing their opposition, but are actually trying their best to correct the system, and this is hopeful. If you wish to pursue this line of investigation further, Read The Solid Gold Stethoscope by Edgar Berman, MD, Macmillan Publishing Co., Inc., New York. This is one of the best exposés of the medical scientific bureaucracy to come along in many a year. Critics enjoy referring to this book as satire. Dr. Berman, when interviewed, has stated he, quote, means what he has said in this publication, and it was written in an honest attempt to show the facts. Your authors do not represent this publication as an encyclopedia of natural healing. An excellent publication of this nature is the Practical Encyclopedia of Natural Healing by the editors of Prevention magazine, Rodale Press, Emmaus, Pennsylvania. Over 500 pages of comprehensive material is given, yet not all subjects of natural healing are discussed. This may, in fact, be an impossible task for any book presentation on natural healing. Our choice of matters in this book is from our many years of research and experience on some of the more important subjects we consider for your health, healing, and happiness. Among the oldest killer diseases that still ravish our society are cancers. For many years we considered cancer as singular. Now we know there are a host of cancers, killing not only human beings, but animals as well. This information was proved many years before it was accepted by the rulers of the scientific community. The facts were present, not just waiting the necessary scientific procedures to prove. As are many facts on other killer diseases, available for your knowledge and self-help, which are not properly investigated and adopted to our society's system because of bureaucratic and self-indulgent procedures. In 1958, a British physician named John Higginson was challenged by a skeptical scientific community when he suggested that 70% to 80% of all cancers are environmental in origin. Now many scientists believe the actual figure may be 90% or more. Research biologists have developed many drugs and antibiotics to combat an equal number of disorders, yet nature has a way of developing an immunity to these drugs and antibiotics, and over a period of time there is less control from what at first was considered a great success. It should be obvious from medical experience that such methods are not in harmony with nature, and we should have learned by this time that nature will respond to misuse as well as to ignorance. The replacement of human organs received much publicized success in the news media, scientific writings, and research endeavors. Again, nature took charge of man's attempt to ignore nature in transplanting human hearts, kidneys, or other organs. Would one person's heart, kidneys, or other organs accept, live, and survive in another human body of the same basic type, design, and structure? Nature said, quote, no. To this trial and error attempt to mechanize the wonders of nature. A person's heart, kidneys, or other organs must be transplanted to another body, not only of the same basic type and design and structure, but organically the same type systematically in blood, serum, plasmas, and tissues. No two bodies, although similar, are exactly the same in composition to accept such artificial mechanical tampering. The receiving body rejects and the patient dies. Nature's code of acceptance has not been comprehended and initiated. There is some present-day research underway to stimulate the body's acceptance to foreign organs. Biologically, this simply means reducing the workings of the human defense system to reject foreign organs, thereby allowing foreign, dissimilar organic mass into the body system. There are outcries to outlaw altering of the human genetic system, and for good reason. The changing of the human body to accommodate medical scientists who cannot find a way to control disease is much the same as altering the design of a new car for more foot or head space. The human body is not a toy to be changed by increased demand, as the automobile manufacturers change style and design. There are better means available in most cases that are more natural and self-rewarding. At this time in man's history, we seem to be on a merry-go-round, scientifically, medically, biologically, and technically, that appears to be changing the world in advances of science and technology. In the United States, after World War II, we were the acknowledged leaders in the scientific world, and when only a few hundred years ago many nations were ignorant of our scientific advances, the reversal is now underway. Now many nations have passed us in all apparent scientific departments, except, perhaps, for computers. Well, what good are computers? They can save time, or do they? They are much like a fast operating mechanical book. You give them all the answers, which depend on the basic language you feed into their mechanical and electronic brains. If the basic working is wrong, then you have more wrong answers by the machine than the ego of man ever dreamed possible in his own self-foolery. The point is that we are way off in our scientific discipline. What we need is to return to the basic fundamental of using our own common sense in solving our problems. Unless we return to a fundamental, basic freedom of choice and style of living, we will be reduced to a class of third-rate citizens. Men, women, and children were given brains. They are not animals that must be told what to eat, wear, say, and think. Overprotective and misguided directives are forcing this unthinking, mechanical living upon us, much to the delight of those who would intentionally destroy civilization and mankind's thinking processes. In all departments of our activities, thinking, planning, health, and welfare, our very lives and existence, quote, "You endure the man who dominates you, and the man who lives at your expense, and the man who takes from you, and the man who exalts himself over you, and the man who smites you on the face." Through lack of both understanding and the desire to understand compassionately, other misdirection, regulation, controls and directives of our increasingly mechanized civilization remove the right of self-expression, natural living, thereby not allowing us to experience those things that make life worthwhile. Citizens in all nations of the world, within the progression of man's civilization, in total regard of historical precepts, cannot think, act, and do for themselves. A privilege nature has so strongly indicated is the path of happiness. Nature is not a politically governed body of men and women. It is the primary and fundamental ruler of natural laws that govern all things on our earth within the world today. Skies, space, and the atmosphere demand levels of natural balance. Man's increasing advancements in his civilization, more often for the sake of additional money and power than any other reason, are leading to man's destruction by tampering with nature's delicate balance. Throughout this maze of self-delusion, confusion, and often bewilderment, there is heard more of an outcry these past few years. There is a greater interest and demanding concern of what is, quote, best, and not just because a regulation or procedure exists. Those who would consider people as computers are hearing these outcries. The scientific community's acceptance in the past of such hazards as DDT, asbestos, radioactivity, vinyl chloride, aerosols, and food additives, to name a few, has prompted increased scrutiny into the ways and means of scientific judgment. And in response to a study of hazards of DNA research, Dr. David Baltimore of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, in speaking of the public's interest, said, quote, "It proves that even complex scientific issues can be understood by lay people who devote the necessary time and energy to the problem." With acknowledgement that government is necessary, that regulations and directives have to be followed or changed peacefully for society to exist. When these man-made controls conflict with natural laws, there should be outcries. For if we legislate, mechanize, and socially control our lives against and away from nature, we will not survive as free men and women, and our survival will be as mechanical computers, subject to whomever and whatever controls our lives. Referring to the, quote, scientific community, without qualification is a practice of your authors, as well as other writers, and is not the best usage of this term. It's like painting all scientists with the same brush, or putting all scientists in the same picture, which is unjust. The government's industrial scientist falls in one category. He can only do what he is told to do, and can only follow programs set up and approved for him. He has to limit his research within his grant or program monies, and can only work with what the people develop within the organisation. He is frowned upon, and his job security is threatened if he goes outside the organisational structure of expertise. The independent scientist, in another category, is the one who comes up with the new concepts, as he is not told what he may or may not do, and is not limited to the technical breakthroughs and developments of his government or corporate structure. Throughout history, civilization has progressed from the work of the independent scientist. True, it is often that, quote, a government or corporate structure must develop into application and use what the independent scientist has discovered. Industrial Research Editorial, August 1975. The larger the structure, the more powerful the procedure, the more opportunities, and the practice of going off in tangents and often spending millions, even billions of dollars, countless hours of work, and the best productive years of intelligent and dedicated scientists in fruitless research, discovery, and application. In these instances, the results, although seemingly working in an expected area, are false, misleading, and not true to basic laws of that science, which are overlooked in the bureaucratic program of an ideal scheme, plan, system, or such. In the United States, as in other countries, the independent scientist is overpowered by the bureaucratic control, rules, procedures, and self-centered protective agencies and organizations which, although apparently well-meaning, tend to practice self-preservation against the initiative and progression of better ideas, means, and concepts outside their self-perpetuating structures. This is bureaucracy at its worst, and, if continued in such form as history dictates, initiates the fall of any great civilization. We are depending more on the large corporate and research organizations for new ideas, systems, and products because they have large facilities, many experts, and great sums of money. The private or semi-private independent researcher attempting to develop new ideas, systems, and products is not given fair and equal opportunity before the massive structure of these large and overpowering systems. History records that, as noted in Gray's, quote, elegy, written in a country churchyard, independent scientists with great discoveries to aid the good of humanity in their time have failed to break through this scientific iron curtain. In truth, civilizations have failed where the individual initiative of a country has been stifled in competition with the expressed individual initiative of another country. Where large structures and systems become self-perpetuating in their own procedural existence, the basic fundamentals of any science or of any concept must be and are forgotten. In the mad rush the organization created becomes the law against the fundamental and basic laws of their existence and their meaning. The most difficult position for any society has always been to look at such powerful structures of procedure and organization within that society, realise they are incorrect and misleading, and drastically, if required, make the necessary changes for the good of their people's existence. This is quite evident in science, government and corporate structures, the energy crisis, the food crisis, unemployment, the welfare system, and any other problem area of a large and complex society. The most important need in the world today for all nations, for all people, is to return to the basic concepts on which free nations that foster individual initiative are founded. We need a total re-evaluation of existing technology to bring back into focus these basic concepts, to assist people instead of complicating their lives more and depriving them of their basic privileges. A new overall perspective is required. For example, the search for a cure for cancer has now reached a point in proportion that the scientific community is turning from the search for a cure to the search for the basic cause of cancer. There are, quote, more than 1,500 known or suspected cancer-causing chemicals now found in the American workplace, and, in addition, another 1 in 4 workers encounters potentially dangerous pollutants ranging from noise and oil mist to known cancer-causing agents like asbestos and benzene. National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, October 1977. And as Labour Secretary Ray Marshall says, quote, "We are trying to put out a forest fire one tree at a time." A comprehensive new policy proposed by the Labour Department would seek to control these known and suspected causes of cancer, rather than searching for a cure to more than 100 known types of cancer.